bad feng shui also works. Feng shui is over 8,000 years old. It's an 8,000-year-old natural philosophy based on generations of observing natural patterns and human behavior. The ancient sages, after generations and generations of experience, they realized certain people do well in certain types of environments, and they've categorized thousands of these. So it's become a system of how to survive, how to excel in harmony with nature. And the word feng shui, well, when I first started doing this, maybe about 20 years ago in the United States, nobody had any idea what I was talking about. 20 years later, it's changed a bit. But still the popular media has made some, should I say, misconceptions, still some confusion. So let me define the two words, feng and shui. Literally translated, feng means wind, and shui means water. So when feng shui came to the United States, the sales of wind chimes and water fountains went up. But feng shui is not only about wind chimes and water fountains. It is about energies that are like wind and water. Like wind, we can't see it, but we know it exists. We know it exists by how it affects our environment, how it affects us, how it cools us, cools our skin, by how it blows seeds across continents to disperse them, how it erodes mountains. It's about energies like shui, or water. Water is constantly around us in three phases of energy: liquid, solid, or gas. We cannot destroy it, but we can divert it, we cannot manipulate it, we can change it how it affects us. We can never break its cycle. There are over 130 factors that influence you, influence who you are, how successful you are. These factors can be divided into two types: predestined and adjustable. Predestined factors are things you can't change. Who your parents are, where you are born, your parents' health, their genetics, what era you're born into, what country you're born into, what culture you're born into. But you can study these, understand these. Who am I? Where do I come from? What is my culture? What is my potential? And then there are other factors that we call adjustables, things that you do have a choice on. You can improve, you can select. So the more of these 130 factors favor you, are compatible to you, promote you, you'll find in your life is more progressive. The more of these are against you or weaker, then you might find your life is a little bit more struggling. But the key is they are all connected. So when you know what they are and know how to improve even one, it sets off a chain reaction to improve the others. Of these 130 factors, 50% or 65 factors are associated to feng shui, which is our environment. So this is our concept logo. First one, we need to understand every single person is different. So in your home, if this house that you're living in happens to match you, your eldest daughter, but does not match your son nor your husband, you might find they are the ones who struggle. But because you are a family team, any person who struggles, it pulls the whole team down. So every one of us is different. So we must understand that. Understand what energies each person has. The next level of energy is our immediate interior, our homes, the floor plan, the lighting, the colors, the artwork, the smells, all of these we'll talk about in a moment. They all affect us. The next level of energy up is our environment, the city that we're in, the geography, the landscape, the fertileness of the land, what type of the zoning we're in, commercial zone, residential, suburban, countryside, all of that influences us, even to the point of our neighbors. The next level of energy up is called the cosmic forces. The planets affect us. We don't always realize that because they're so far away, but their cycles have a very powerful effect. And every year they have a different shift of position that affects us differently. So likewise, we have to make adjustments all the time. So you can see in the center, feng shui is about how to align yourself with all these different levels of energies so that it supports you the most. Feng shui is based on the idea, the concept that everything around us is made of energy. In Chinese, they call this energy force qi. You might hear it as prana in Indian, or you might hear it as ki in Japanese. Or in English, it's called the field or life force. So although everything is made of molecules, atoms, what is really holding them together essentially is an energy force. The next one is we call the yin-yang theory of balance. Everything must return to a state of balance. When things are not in balance, in returning to it, things must happen. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable. for us in our life. In our environment, when it is not balanced, when it's too dark or too bright, too small or too cold, too hot, this imbalance makes us very uncomfortable and we cannot be productive. So it's about how to create balance, understanding these energies around us and to create balance within them. It's based on the ideas of chain reactions of cause and effect. So essentially, Feng Shui works, and we should know how to create or activate the changes in our environment to best benefit us. The basic fundamental theory that's used throughout Feng Shui is called the 5 elements. So as I said earlier, everything is made of energy. Now the ancient sages analyzed, observed, and recorded all the different energies around us. And they categorize them under what they call the 5 elements. In Chinese, it's called 五行. And these 5 elements are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Do not think of them as 5 substances. Think of them more as 5 names for the different frequencies that are all around us. It is very similar to our ecological cycle. There are 2 cycles. One we call a cycle of generation, and another one called the cycle of control. The circular one is the cycle of generation. In nature, we always see that water promotes or grows wood, vegetation. Wood fuels fire. Fire becomes ashes to create earth, and earth can be mined to produce metals and minerals is what nourishes and enriches our water. This is the cycle of production. Everything around us can be categorized underneath one of these. And when we know what type of energy we have, we start to understand whether or not these energies around us are promoting us or controlling us. The other cycle is in the star shape. It is the cycle of control. Water puts out or douses fire. Fire melts or weakens metal. Metal destroys or chops down wood. Wood absorbs or depletes the energies of earth. And earth pollutes or dirties water, the cycle of control. Maybe hundreds, thousands of cases I've seen, are the typical problems with our homes. We have very long hallways, dark hallways, that usually have no light, poor circulation. And along these long hallways, the doors of the rooms are usually aligned, creating a conflict. The rooms can be very irregularly shaped. They're not square, they're L-shaped or have missing corners. The staircase is treated as a very functional item and placed usually in the center of the house where it's easily accessed. But the center of the house we call is the heart, the most important place to be. We don't necessarily want to put a vertical element of instability there. Oftentimes, the powder room is also placed in the center where there's usually no window of ventilation. There are many bathrooms that lack windows. The rooms, the spaces are not very well proportioned, so there's not very good spaces to put a bed or a desk. There are bedrooms over rooms that have functions that should not have, like the kitchen and the garage, that have no bedrooms over, very unstable rooms beneath them. And rooms that are in the wrong directions, poor proportions, too many or not enough windows, or you have doors that face a negative or unstable elements such as a staircase, a bathroom, a stove, or a fireplace, and in general, poor use of space. What happens when you have the very poor feng shui environment? Most typically, we get what we call the sick building syndrome. But it starts very subtly. You do not feel it. When you move into a new home, you're strong, you're happy. Hopefully you are. But if the feng shui does not match you, these are some of the symptoms that you will go through. You start to feel tired all the time, lack of energy, just chronic fatigue. You're suffering from environmental stress, but you're not aware of it. You might think, maybe I'm just not happy, but your environment is not stimulating you. And this causes stress is the heart or the source of all ailments. So your immunity goes down, you might start to have allergies. There's going to be lack of air circulation, oxygen, natural light, or dizziness in these type of homes. When this occurs, it creates a psychological drain on you. You become moody, you become frustrated, you become edgy. And what happens is you start to get into conflicts. You start to throw off this negative energy onto your family and people at work. You are no longer productive. You're very distracted. So your mind lacks focus. And then what happens is you make poor judgment calls. You make bad decisions. You attract the wrong people into your life. You say the wrong things. And then you suffer money loss. And then this can manifest itself into actual physical problems or health issues, actual relationship problems between parents and children, between husband and wife, between boss and employee. And then ultimately it can create unexpected crises, accidents, injuries, lawsuits to occur. Benefits of feng shui design. Everything you have created, cause and effect. So you can tell yourself already right now whether or not you have a good feng shui. Simply ask yourself, am I healthy? Am I in a happy relationship? Am I doing very well in my financial life? If the answer is yes, you have created that. If the answer is no, somehow you have created that as well. When you do integrate feng shui into your home, you will experience harmony, health, wealth, focus, a peaceful mind. You're going to be able to be progressive. You're going to be able to put your energies into moving forward rather than putting your energies into always solving your problems. Objective. One of the greatest things about feng shui and design is it helps you make objective decisions that are good for you. Sometimes people say, no, I like purple, no, I like green. They have a fight or conflict. But if we only just realize, you must look at which one actually is good for you. That decision is made very objectively and easily. It helps with the whole design process. It allows you to connect with your home, with your family, with your environment, with nature. It allows the energies to flow very well within the home. It creates a very strong sense of comfort, stability, and finally, it is a home that inspires you. So it's one thing I always ask my clients. Does your home inspire you? When you walk in the door every day after work, do you feel inspired? And almost everybody says, no, it does not. So how can we incorporate that? So basics of custom feng shui design. If you were to come to me tomorrow and say, Jenny, I would like to incorporate a feng shui design, how does it work? What do we need to do? First of all, we need to create what we call a program for you. I would sit down and interview you and your family members. We would write down your life goals for each person. And this will vary depending on where you are in your life. So we find out what type of lifestyle you would like to live, what type of desires you have. And we'll list the functions and activities you want in your home. Then we customize it. Every single person, as I mentioned, has their own energy. There are many, we call empirical charts used for many generations, how to calculate your family's member based on their birth dates. So we get their birthday information, we can calculate generally, what are the elements that promote them of the 5 elements. Then we identify what each person's most compatible directions are. So we would customize all of the colors, materials, as we'll see in a moment, based on your orientation and your personal promoting elements. On the general, when I do design the floor plan for you, it is very much an open floor plan. They're going to be very minimal, if any, hallways. Instead, we'll use common spaces to connect rooms. There will be no negative alignments. There will always be natural lighting, ventilation, and very balanced proportions. So here you see on the list here are the 5 elements: metal, earth, water, fire, and wood, and the different associations they have to the directions, colors, materials, shape, numerology, and association or effect. The metal relates to the north and northwest direction, the colors of white, gold, bronze, and metallics. The materials are similar metals: steel, chrome, nickel, brass, gold metals. Hexagon shape, pentagon shape, the numbers are 6 and 7. It represents authority, power, order, leadership, sparkle, understanding. Earth is directions of northeast, southwest. The colors are yellow, brown, tan, beige, and orange. The materials are ceramic, brick, crystals, adobe, glass, stone. The shapes, square, octagonal, rectangle, the numbers 2 and 8. It's associated to the energies of stability, support, nourishment, calmness. Water is related to the north direction. The color is blue, black, gray, aqua. The materials relate to the water element itself, things related to the sea, seashells, fish, and so forth. Mirrors that are reflected like water. The shape and form, wave, circular, and curves. Number is 1. It relates to creativity, wealth, change, movement, and being contemplative. Fire is associated to the south direction. The colors are pink, burgundy, lavender. Light and candles are the materials related to. The shape and form are flame-shaped points, triangles. The number is 9. The fire element relates to happiness, passion, ambition, artistic, energizing. And finally, the wood element relates to the east and southeast directions. the green, teal, sage, olive colors, the materials of bamboo, wood, rattan, and fabric. They're very vertical, tall lines and forms. The numbers 3 and 4, and relates to growth, scholarship, fame, diligence, and motivation. So they can be integrated in many different ways. I call it seamless integration. Everything on your body fits together perfectly. In your home, it should be similar, exactly similar. It belongs, it feels right. So we can integrate all of these 5 elements through the materials, colors, motifs, pattern, into your upholstery, window coverings, the furniture, lighting, textures, symbols, accessories, plants, art, and sculpture. Let's take a look at our home environments. Encoding nature into anatomy of your living space. I use the word anatomy because the best way to think of this is simply to think of the house literally as an extension of yourself. The ceiling, the roof represents our mind, our head, our thoughts, our intellect. The walls, our clothing, our skin, what embraces us. The doors, what lets in air, what releases toxins, lets us aspirate, lets us breathe, lets us take in new energy. The energies of the floor, we come into contact with the earth all the time. It's the most broadest horizontal surface. It offers us support, stability. And all the different rooms in your house are simply like our organs. And energy must flow to every single one of them in order for them to be strong. The furniture, the art, all the fun things we want to do in interior design, that is just like the food we eat. So what do you want to eat? Organic foods, greens, healthy. We want lots of oxygen. So in our homes, do we want to eat cheap decoration, plastics, bad materials, poorly designed? No, we want natural, organic materials. We want beautiful, inspiring designs. We have canes, wood, natural woods, fabrics, and we have plants. These are all wood element, rattan, all wood, cork. Then we have earth materials, ceramics, marbles, granites, glass tiles, stones. Those are, and glass are all earth materials. Then we have the energies of metal. So we see metal furniture, metal in our fixtures, metal in our accents, and lighting, and sculptures, and furniture. And finally, we have 2 more elements, fire and water. Not easy to build with water and fire, but in terms of the actual element, bring in fountains, the imagery of water, the aquariums, and so forth. We can bring that in. And lighting is usually fire. Fire is light. So the water motif, as you can see here, circles. The colors blues, grays, blacks, sailboats, fish, turtles, swirling of water, wave patterns, the scales of a fish pattern, and kois. So all of these are water elements. And these are just simply fabric samples, so you can start to see how easily it is to incorporate these into a pillow, an accent, duvet, curtains, and so forth. Fire motif, red colors. The fire motif, as you know, was pointed flame shapes, so the diagonals, diamond shape, points, curls, heart shape, all of these all represent fire elements. Earth. Earth is, if you find your life is very hectic, non-stop, chaotic, then you need to be more grounded, stable, supported, and nourished. When you're taking care of everybody else except for yourself, you need to bring more earth into your life. So you might find these are the natural motifs you're attracted to because you need it. So the earth motif, as you know, earth is what we call square, flat, rectangular. The number of numerology is 8. So you see all these patterns have squares, checkers, plaids, octagonal shapes, all relate to the earth element. The metal motif. The metal motif here relates to this number 6. So you see honeycomb shape, snowflake shape. Dragon represents metal. It's energy for power, for leadership, for order, for a system. So you see crown, you see stars, represents the heavens, and so forth. So if you need more leadership, then you put those. The wood motif belongs to the plants and trees and flowers. So usually very floral. If you require more growth, expansion, mind focus in your studies. You want to bring in more of the florals and the vertical lines of stripes. So the first one we talked about is the ceilings. The ceiling represents our mind, our mental well-being, our concepts, our intellect. So different colors can be incorporated. Here we have a purple ceiling, and that is related to fire element. They put it here in the kitchen area. So it's the area where we call people family gather to share love, to share conversation, bring more warmth. This one here, we have a black ceiling, and black represents creativity, movement. Then blue ceilings, anytime you feel stagnant, you want to use the blue or lighter ceiling. If you have children who are having problems focusing at school or studying, you might want to try painting their room blue color. Opens up their mind, calms them down. Here's some other ones. You can put murals and paint the actual sky. This one's an octopus here, and this was in a restaurant. So octopus represents number 8, so it's an earth element incorporated in here. And it's purple, fire. Fire promotes earth. So you have two complementary elements being used here. And then in many hallways, usually there is no windows, especially in large hospitals, corporation, buildings, apartments. And you see how the creative they have now is by putting this, these are not skylights. These are actually fluorescent lights with a sky template on them. So it looks almost exactly like the sky. We see here in a school, they have this benefit. This is an example of bad feng shui. You do not necessarily want to have this as your ceiling mural. As you can see, they are smoking, so they are really just digging their own grave here. Now our walls. Our walls are like our clothes, our skin. They are immediate, just like the clothes we wear, immediate response, immediate effect of our image of a room, our perceptions of a room. And there's many different ways to treat our walls. I think of walls as canvases. You can do anything to it. And most of us do not. We leave our walls blank. And what happens is, then we become blank. We have no inspiration. So, do something with your walls. Even though a single color coat of paint will do great, but if you can add textures, marbling, stenciling, textures. Here you have wood textures, you can incorporate the wood element. You have here the marble, so you can incorporate the earth element. You can use diagonals in terms of brushing or stippling and create a fire element, so many different ways. Here's some wonderful ways of using murals, large murals, to completely transform the feeling of a room. So you can imagine at first what happens if this office was completely white wall, and they have no inspiration. And then we changed it up, bring a lot of fire element, so it's completely charged. And all